So my name is Adam Buhler, and I'm the father of Theo.
And I'm Karen Buhler. I'm Theo's mom, and he received services from Oak Leiden from the time he was 15 months till he turned 3. So Theo was typically developing from birth and happy-go-lucky baby, meeting his milestones. At 7 months, we noticed some odd movements that made us kind of concerned that they might be seizures. So we took him to a children's hospital emergency room, and he was admitted and diagnosed with infantile spasms, which is a rare but catastrophic seizure disorder that can cause a lot of delays and serious impact on his brain if not treated quickly and effectively. Lucky for Theo, the medication that we were doing stopped the seizures initially, but we were left with these delays that hadn't been there before. He had been seizure-free when we moved to Oak Park and was seizure-free for the first 5 months that we worked with Oak Leiden, and then seizures returned. And our therapists were so helpful at, first of all, supporting us as we were doing new medications and he was drowsy or his immune system was compromised. So they would have to, do these elaborate cleaning routines of all the toys and changing their schedule to make sure that they saw Theo and weren't bringing any germs to him.
And honestly, being able to get a number of, regular services through Oak Leiden was very helpful, and making sure that we could address a lot of the medical complexity, essentially pairing that with, visits to Lurie Children's downtown. And also, we also went to the Mayo Clinic for some other diagnostics and follow-ups and things like that, and being able to have all of that as part of a full picture of care really helped a lot.
So through Oak Leiden, we received physical therapy, we had speech therapy, and we had occupational therapy. We received each of those weekly. And then we also, because Theo was at risk for having delays in other areas as well, we also had a developmental therapist that would come out every 6 months to kind of evaluate his progress and see if we needed to add that service as well. Every day when he would wake up from his first nap, he would run out to our front window to look for Miss Katie or Miss Amy.
It didn't matter what day of the week it was, always looking forward to the next friend to come play with him.
Yeah.
Friend meaning one of his therapists.
He definitely had his moments, and they were very good about pushing him a little bit further than he wanted to. But they were so great about gauging his mood, gauging what skill they were asking him to do, and just really tailoring their services to him, which I greatly appreciated. I loved that our therapist incorporated our older kids. In the summers, they would be there during the visits, which made them a little bit more chaotic, but they were so good about involving the older kids while still maintaining the focus on Theo and his therapeutic goals. But they were able to teach the kids, like, hey, why don't you set up an obstacle course? And so Theo was working on, stepping up and stepping down and crawling and catching and all these different set skills that we were trying to focus on in therapy. I vividly remember when he was getting feeding therapy from Miss Katie, our speech therapist, all of us sitting around the table, taking little tiny pieces of carrots and going, bite and pull, bite and pull. So all of us were involved with the different strategies. And I think that consistency helped us really see changes, sometimes on a weekly basis. He would be gaining skills. Sometimes it took a lot longer than that, though.
It didn't seem like it was prescriptive. It didn't seem like it was work, honestly. It was play. but it was, directed and prescribed play that really narrowed in on the pieces where he needed to develop the most and where he could get the most effect and impact on his development.
Seeing him, tell jokes or figuring out what the concept of tomorrow is, or all these higher level skills that, in our early days of services, we just didn't know kind of what to expect. But he just continues to be a joy and continues to surprise us and continue making progress.
And it's crazy to think all of the progress that he's made in the last year has been really astounding. Like there are some weeks where, like, at the beginning of the week, he'll be trying something. At the end of the week, he'll already, like, I'm thinking of words specifically.
Yeah.
Like his vocabulary is increasing, his intelligibility, what he says is really increasing rapidly now, which is so great.
Oak has just been so important to our family because of the individualized services that we received and the experience of the professionals that work there, the collaboration that they had with others, and the resources they were able to share with us. And if they don't have an answer, to my 50,000 questions every week, then they would talk with other members on their team, and they would, find information, find the answer, that we were looking for, and adapt and continue to help Theo grow and develop. And you can feel the care that they have, the love that they have for him. And that just, made me feel even more comfortable trusting them with this important part of our life.
So, outstanding job. I can't picture this happening any other way.
Oh, here he comes. What's the matter, buddy? You want to come say hello?
Hello.